again, everyone. Welcome,
Thank
Misty.
you.
And we've got a chance to ask questions as well, because I'm not standing here for more than a couple more minutes. Misty, welcome. Misty, can you tell us a little bit about, and please jump in as well, your history and your history on television, and all the years you spent as a hostess on television, and even what you have going on now, please.
Thank you, thank you. Well, in the comic book, it has Misty reading her in her dungeon. She actually, let me back up just a little bit. Basically, when I first came to KBSI, in the setting for our show was Misty lounging on a antique couch. But Misty first comes out of the coffin. And then says, hello, I'm Misty Brew and welcome to KBSI's Creature Feature. And then I would go on to host and say campy jokes and things like this. And then I would, in between the segments, I would just say the jokes, and we'd have skits, really fun skits. Lots of guests. Frankie, the Invisible Man, which you might not see him because he's invisible, but he's always lurking unless he wraps himself with the gauze. Then we had, oh gosh, Brian, how many different guests we have?
Local Fox channel here. Wasn't really Fox at that time, but she moved into it. Switched back and forth Friday night Creature Feature to a Saturday night Creature Feature many years. And we were lucky to grab her. She was flying in the area. I heard of the job opening. And it was with all the horror hosts out there, I mean, from Mystery Science Theater to Elvira, it was a thing to do, and still is a thing to do, and she's kind of been resurrected. She got laid off from Fox in the early 90s. They had a program change and didn't really want to participate in horror hosting anymore. So Misty kind of took a vacation, and much needed, by the way.
Needed.
A little bit of rest. And it was many years, and a few local people, including Timex, was wondering where she went and what happened to her. And they found me and a few other people. And Frankie, actually we found Frankie, and he was missing Misty Brew. So he was all about waking her up, but we were kind of worried about waking her up and what would happen.
Been a lot of changes since the 80s.
Yes.
So.
And she was very stunned.
Very stunned, but very happy to be back.
And see Frankie.
So, but in the beginning, the lights were very low. If you will notice, if you go back to the vintage footage, the lights were very low. And I would speak very low as well. I am Misty Brew, and the Canadian side's Creature Feature. And I would speak like this. But then, as it caught on, if you will, because we did it and we did not know how it would be received. So we did it, and because it was well received, we brightened the lights. You know, it was crazy. So and then more makeup and different things, and then there were, as far as script goes, we'd have posters, big poster cards, and we'd roll them. That's how I would read. If I could not, if I didn't come up with my own things, I would read, and then roll. Sometimes I'd be like this, and like, okay, you need to roll it quicker, faster, lower, whatever. But that's how that was. Well, then eventually, a teleprompter. Yay. Time, we were big time then.
But yeah, she really started from sexy and dark and we moved to sexy and shtick.
Yeah.
We found that a lot more successful. So.
Yes, you know, and then we'd have set changes.
Yeah.
We tried to advance that. We had that pig head, and you remember the pig head on the set? Oh, yeah. The very back of me was a pig head. It was real. It was real.
Yes, it was.
So,
luckily the studio was very cool.
Yes.
We didn't have any bad smells.
Well, what scared me and inspired me, if you will, was the monsters. The monsters and the other one, the Addams Family, Morticia. I think her influence on me was great, and it's scary. It was exciting.
And funny.
And funny, they were all funny, and that's what I like. It can be funny, silly stuff, you know, don't get too serious. The other thing that really was the Night of the Living Dead. That horror film is the classic. Still scares me. All those, you know, they're eating brains and they're eating like intestines and things. It's just gross, and I don't know, I don't like it though. But so that's part of it. Plus, my mother, who is a witch, you know, she would tell me these ghost stories all the time. We would sit around in the evening and she'd tell the ghost stories, and that's part of who I am today. You know what? I think Jeepers Creepers, have you seen that?
Yes.
That got me. So that is kind of old, but I remember it like yesterday. Let me think.
Your friend Frankenstein's been in with I, Frankenstein, Frankie, we always tie
Yeah,
in with that.
him,
And
yeah.
then was it Frankenstein's Army or
There's a
something?
lot of Frankenstein's Army, I, Frankenstein.
Just came
Von
out.
Van Helsing.
Theory.
I
Yeah,
love
the
the animation in the Van Helsing movie. That's older, but I do enjoy it. Oh, there are so many now. In the Woods films, isn't it? Because I watched one and I thought that's not very good. Is that the one with the chainsaw? Not the Chainsaw Massacre. We all know these. But what is?
Sweden.
Yeah,
I don't know if
he wrote it.
No, that's
Oh.
he had something to do with it. So.
He wrote it.
He wrote it. Okay.